The missing skill behind success, energy, accountability. What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy, Storyseller Jet, with another episode of the That's So Fire talk show. And today, I have somebody very special on the show because I feel like she was probably one of the very first person that I told about the show when we actually were starting it. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Jessica Haley in the house. What's going on, Jess?
Hey, hey, hey.
Let's go. I'm super pumped to be here with you. You're such an inspirational human being. Like I remember like the very first day that we met, we were sitting in the studio, like in a complete different version of what we have today. And we were supposed to meet for like 30 minutes and we ended up talking for like 2 hours and it was crazy. Super awesome. So welcome to the show. I'm super excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. So let's do a quick introduction to whoever is watching that may not know who Jess Haley is, and share a little bit about yourself.
Of course. Hi, guys. How are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day. My name is Jessica Haley. My background was in building sales teams for about a decade, almost 12 years. And then from there, I actually took a left turn into doing performance coaching for a hedge fund, which again, kind of ran in the same vein of human psychology and working with people. But it was a very big left turn. That was a completely different industry than what I was adjusted to. And then from there, this past year, I took a hobby that was something that it was like my creative outlet, and I turned it into an actual business, which is my jewelry line here. I have a business partner. Her name is Ryan, and we...
Shout out Ryan. Let's go.
Yes. And we launched this jewelry line, went out to Bali, designed 400 new pieces, came back, opened up 2 showrooms, and we're just having so much fun with it. And so that's been like a fun little left turn as well in my life, but has brought me back into a space of really understanding entrepreneurship again and remembering all of the little potholes that you can fall into. And so I've been pulling out my tools from my tool belt of human psychology on myself more so. And so it's just been a lot of fun. I also have a book that's coming out this year, and it's all about living in the green zone. So there's all sorts of fun things in the mix.
Wow. We are going to have a really great time here, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle your seatbelt. It's going to be awesome. And we are going to talk about so many different really cool things that you can today implement in your business to help you be successful. So let's start by doing your quick origin story, like your story. Like that's one of my favorite subject that, I like to bring everybody in to share a little bit about. Like from day one, how did you get started in the entrepreneurial journey? What were some of the things that you were doing? What are some of the success, the failures, and lessons learned from all of this? So let's start talking about that a little bit.
I would love that. Okay, so I'll take you back to where I was. I'm born and raised in Virginia. I left Virginia when I was 19. I knew that I was not going to just end up in my backyard. I wanted more. I'd never been to Los Angeles, and I moved there. I got my dad's buy-in. My mom was not so excited, and I moved out to Los Angeles when I was 19 years old. I had gone to a year at university in Virginia, and then I was like, I got to get out of here. So when I left, I jumped into school. Right after school, I had an internship. My boss, I was not a huge fan of, and he said certain things to me that made me leave work one day and call my dad. And I said, I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want anybody telling me what I have to do, where I have to be, any of these things that I watched my dad be that my whole life. And my mom took a very traditional route, and she did very well for herself. But I liked the flexibility that I saw my father live. And so I ended up going back to school to be an esthetician. From there, I ended up getting introduced to a skincare company that was in the network marketing space. And that happened right around 21 years old. Right around 23 years old. And so I left fashion school, which is kind of where I got my fun little, all of that came back to life later. Yep. But I actually jumped into the aesthetic space in more of a sales capacity for the network marketing world. And I hit the top level of that company in 11 months.
Wow.
That changed my life forever, like completely changed my life. But to give you a real picture of where I was at when that was introduced to me, I was working at a bar. I was crying on my way to work. I love humans, but I lost all faith in humanity working at the place that I did. And I was just like, every day I'd walk in and I'd be like, you can't steal my joy. You can't steal my joy. It's my joy. You can't have it. You know, as I was getting verbal tips and dealing with, you know, people that had had one too many drinks. And I was at that place where all I wanted was to just be able to own my own time and just be able to wake up every single day and not have somebody else telling me what I needed to be doing. And so when I jumped into network marketing, I was very resistant at first. I didn't actually think that it was an industry that I wanted to be a part of. And when I then realized that it was almost like the gateway to entrepreneurship, where you didn't have to necessarily do so much of the fulfillment, but you could just have a business that you could start at any moment in time and actually go and succeed. Yeah. So I jumped into that, and hitting that top level in 11 months at such a young age was something that ended up leading me into so many opportunities, because they started throwing me on a lot of stages and so I was opening up countries for that company, and then it led me into doing that for over a decade. That's
fantastic. But I know you're just getting started to share about your journey, but something that you shared just a minute ago, I feel like could be very, very important for anybody that basically watching this, is you obviously crying every single day that you are going to work, and you telling yourself, you're not going to steal my joy. You're not going to steal my joy. How important it is for people to speak truth into their lives.
So we're made of 80% water. And they've done studies where if you actually go speak, this is a part of the study. One side of the room, they have a plant and they have water, and they go speak life and truth into it every single day. Then the other side of the room, they speak negative to it all day, every day. And as they walk past it every single day, they just speak life and truth, and they speak negative. And at the end of this study, the one that they spoke life and truth into, that water crystallized. That plant was thriving. Then the one that they didn't speak positive to, that one, the plant was dead and the water was murky. And so if we're 80% water, what we're telling ourselves on a regular basis really, really matters. I mean, it can be it truly can make us sick. It can make us have dis-ease in our body. It can do things that we don't even realize. So I think the accountability of speaking life and truth into ourselves on a regular basis is really important. And our physiology is pretty much built to keep us safe. So it's not like something where we just naturally wake up and we are going to go after our goals and dreams and not have that feeling of of being scared or having that fear show up. We're not meant to go hit top levels of things naturally. Mm-hmm. That's like the standing on the edge of a cliff. Like our body is like, no, back up. That's how entrepreneurship is. It's like, no. Our bodies are like, no, back up. Safe is way better. It's more comfortable. It
Absolutely.
Makes sense. So we have to speak life and truth. We have to pour in clean water every single day into our minds. And we have to really make sure that the things that we're constantly surrounded by and inundated with is stuff that's going to allow us to see a new perspective and get past that physiology trying to keep us in that same spot.
Boom. I think we can end the talk show right here, because that was so good, so fantastic. Mic drop. That was really good. Follow-up question to that. Do you have any exercises or things that you do on a daily basis to make sure that your day goes exactly how you want it?
You almost look at it like, yes, and this is a great question. And I think if we look at it like building momentum in the right direction first thing in the morning, it's really hard when you get a train going 100 miles an hour in a direction, it's really hard to take that train off its track. If the train is getting off to the wrong direction in the morning, it's kind of hard to reverse that too and to get it on the right track. So every morning when you wake up, you have a blank slate. And if you think about it, like you've been sleeping all night, you don't have all those thoughts still running from the day before. If you look at it like a blank slate and you say, hey, I have the opportunity today to have whatever I want, and set that intention and move in that direction. Start, and I know this sounds cheesy and you hear it a million times, like start with gratitude. I mean that. Like if you can practice gratitude, it's almost like going to the gym and like lifting weights. There's a muscle there that if you can start getting your mind to scan for the things that you do have and the things that you are grateful for versus the things that you don't have or you're lacking, then your mind will start seeing the abundance versus seeing the scarcity. And so it's really important to practice that muscle. But if you do it first thing in the morning, like you get out of bed and you start, saying all the things that you're grateful for. And then for me personally, it's getting outside and getting fresh air and getting some movement in. And if that's just like a quick walk or I go straight over to Pilates, or I go do something that's movement. And it's almost like my time for the day before anybody else really has access to me. I listen to a good song. I've got my headphones in. Like sometimes people will see me skipping down my street. And I know that it intentionally, if I don't go and build my train into the right direction, I start getting that momentum going in that direction, then there will be things that show up throughout the day, as they always will, that will knock me off my track. But if I'm going 100 miles an hour, try me. Like, I'm not going to get knocked off my track. If I'm in the green, you're not messing with me. I'm like moving through the world in a way that I can almost see like a highlighted path, and I'm like a magnet to all the things that I'm really excited about. And I have such a good return to sender on my energy.
Absolutely. I love it. By the way, side note, I didn't tell her to paint her nails red, by the way, everybody.
On brand.
On brand. Let's go. Let's go. What are some of the things that people would maybe say to themselves to make sure that, like, what are some of the positive things that they can say? Can you give me some examples of the things that you do? Like, say it to yourself.
So, to be honest, there was chapters of my life where affirmations were like a really, really big thing for me. And I would affirm the things that I really wanted to believe. To be honest, I feel so core, like my identity is very in a place where I don't need to affirm a lot of things about myself at this point in my life. I think what serves me the best on a day-to-day basis is turning on a good audiobook, turning on something like a Tony Robbins or a Dr. Joe Dispenza, or something that is even from my church, just listening to a sermon. Having somebody frame me in the morning is very helpful for me, because then I don't kind of get stuck in the mix of all the things that your brain can say, I have to do this versus I get to do this. And if you set up by having certain people put you in the right frames in the morning and you lock into those frames, then you're moving through the world and you're not looking at things, you're not scanning for things in like a heavier, denser energy. You're scanning for them in more of like an abundant perspective. And our perspective is everything. Like how we see something and whatever story and meaning that we're making of anything is then going to give us the next emotion. So if your bag doesn't come in at the airport, and you can make that mean that I have, a shopping spree on American Airlines, or you can make that mean my day is ruined. And the next emotion is going to be very clear from depending on what story you just said. So my goal every day is, what do I need to do to pour in clean water for myself? And that's typically these days, that's really listening to a good audiobook or a good podcast and good sermon. And then I feel like and then movement. And then I'm setting myself up in a way that I have very empowering frames to live my perspective in life through.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And very important to also like listen to books, like reading a good books, or even listen to other people that is pouring life into yourself. Like for me, for example, definitely every morning, I feel this morning, but every morning want to make sure that I read the Bible. Yeah. And also like, I love Myron Golden with like some of the Bible studies that he's doing. So sometimes I just kind of put that in the car and listen to it as well. But one of the very important thing that a friend of mine told me, Tom Kroll, from Coaching Inc. Mastermind, is focus on reading 8 pages a day. 8 pages a day is something that anybody can do. Yep. Like it's very obviously quantitative, but like super easy that you can read 8 pages a day. Don't try to do like 35 or 50. You can do it if you have the time, but by doing that incrementally, every single day, your life will change like so much dramatically by just kind of focusing on 8 pages a day. So I wanted to share that a little bit because I feel like you are doing the same thing. But for all the people that are watching that want to start reading, that wants to start listening to a podcast or a sermon, that is a very quick tips that you can apply to your life by just focusing on 8 pages a day.
And I find when I even just open it up, then I want to keep reading. But it's like the going to the gym thing. It's like getting there is the hardest part. It's like opening the book is the hardest part. Making the time to do it is the hardest part. But that's why I don't even leave that to chance. I listen to so much audio that I can be walking, or I can be, doing cooking breakfast, or I can be doing whatever I need to do. And I'm still getting that. I really love the 8 pages a day. Mine is always 15 minutes of a good audio. And that could be 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. But I'm going to get 15 minutes of pouring in clean water per day. And I notice a difference.
That's fantastic. So we were talking about the origin story a little bit earlier, and you just kind of talked about the first, stage of your life. And we stopped talking about when you were going through and putting so many events around to help your business grow. Can you share with me what was the biggest lesson that you've learned by, putting some events together and sharing, your knowledge with everybody else?
The biggest lesson.
Or maybe we can even start by what was the biggest failure or moment that you did not like, and what was the biggest lessons that you've learned from that as well?
Oh gosh, there's so many of those too. You guys, it's not just like a straight line. It is this. And I think working with traders, actually working at the hedge fund, was very helpful for me, because I started to see life in a chart. And I started realizing it's all about the time frames of that chart. If you zoom out, it looks like, and I don't know if this is going to make any sense to anybody, but when you're consolidating on a chart, you're going up and down, up and down, up and down. You're like hitting the ceiling, bouncing to the floor, hitting the ceiling, bouncing to the floor. And in that process, it feels, as an entrepreneur, like you're going through a washing machine. I mean, you're hitting resistance, you're bouncing to the floor. But if you zoom out, majority of the time in that consolidation, that's a coil up of momentum for a breakout. And we just feel the consolidation. We just feel the washing machine, but we don't necessarily know that this huge, it's coiling up for this huge breakout. And when we go on this huge breakout, what goes up must come down. And when it comes down, your old ceiling is your new floor. And so but you wouldn't see that when you're zoomed in. You only feel it when you're zoomed in. But if you zoom out, you can really see your life and all of the different aspects of it, and where you were just coiling up for a huge breakout. Yeah. And so there was many a times where, oh man, I mean, building a business in my 20s where majority of people were twice my age that I was leading, I had to dive into personal growth and development more than anything else, because I had to stand on a stage and I had to provide value. People had to want to follow something that I was saying, and I was a kid. And I had to look in the mirror every day and say, do I want to recruit you? And if I didn't, then I needed to keep growing. And that was something that I dove so heavy into personal growth and development at such a young age, trying to understand like how people work. And then I just realized that the more you know, the more you know nothing. And we're all just human, and we're all just trying to figure this thing out. And we're going to go through ups and downs. The number one thing is to just come out of it knowing that every single thing that you are experiencing, it's training for something you can't quite see yet. And
100%.
Yes.
Say it louder.
Yes. It's all training for what you cannot see yet. Like, God is preparing you, and you have to be prepared for that next thing that he's going to go and throw you in. And so that's what I've realized over all the years. I mean, there was a huge turning point in my business where there was a big falling out in my company, and there was like a big mass exodus that happened, and my business went from like 1.3 million a month in sales to like 250,000 overnight. And I felt like there was like 75 funerals of people that I thought I was going to work with for the rest of my life that I stopped working with, that I was like devastated by. And then rebuilding in that company after that happened, and then having it happen again 1 year later, it was like, it just felt like my heart just kept getting ripped into shreds, because I got so attached to the people that I was serving and I was helping. And then like when you're a kid, you just think everything's up and to the right. Yeah. Like you don't know what you don't know, and you haven't hit rock bottom yet. Yeah. And so there's just so many of those moments that I came out of, like, where I realized that it's the human connection. I realized that it's loving what you do with your time every day. Like, those are the things that matter. When you're on your deathbed and you look back at your life, did you live a fulfilled life because you enjoyed the time that you spent and the people you spent it with in your life on a day-to-day basis? And that's what I've realized, is that like living in the green zone is a choice. And it's also a practice, and something that you have to consistently do day in and day out, because we are human and we're always going to be human. And so we're up against that little fun battle. But then also, who are you choosing to do this thing with? Yeah. Because we are not meant to do it alone. We're meant to do it 100%. Together. Yeah. And that matters. So doing what you love with people you love It's awesome.
Yeah. One thing that you said, I would like to maybe expand on a little bit, which I think is very important. Like if you look at, for example, like any like XRP or Bitcoin out there, you will see like, the day to day is probably like,
Yeah.
going up and down, going
Volatile.
up. Exactly. So starting from like when it was at zero to now being like, a huge amount of number, now you can see the growth when you zoom out. But if you were looking at like, the little, if you zoom in really, really into it, you'll see like it's always kind of like up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
If you're focusing on that, you're going to be missing out the whole picture
Yep.
from zero to like $100,000 or something like that. So, but all of those little moments accumulate to that big growth that you see at the end. So that was fantastic that you shared a little bit about that. So you just shared that you really focus on personal development. Can you share some of the things that you've learned along the way that give you the confidence to be able to share on stage with people?
I'm not going to lie. I'm absolutely terrified to get on stage. Like it's not something that feels good to me until I'm there. And then something happens where I just get locked into the present moment. And I think really God really shows up for me in those moments, to be honest, because it's not something, if you ask anybody around me that's close to me leading into speaking in any way, I am so filled with anxiety and I'm such a human. I'm so scared. I'm so like, but then something happens as soon as I walk up and I'm like, God, speak through me. And he always does. And it's the gift that I know I was given, but it's also something that I'm still coming to terms with and like arguing with God about at times.
Yeah.
So trust me, I would say confidence only comes from doing it over and 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 over again. And I mean over again at thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Like, and you just keep throwing yourself in the fire. And the people that believed in me in the beginning that saw it in me were the ones that I had to be surrounded by in order to continue to go down those roads. Like I wouldn't just have gone and thrown myself on a stage. It was all people that saw it in me before I saw it in myself. So surrounding yourself with really good people that see more in you than you even see yet is very important. That's been a huge piece of my whole trajectory, has been finding mentors, whether they be somebody that I'm studying on YouTube or somebody that I know in person. I am constantly around people that have what I want and want to grow into. And whether that be in a family way or whether that be in a business professional way, like I find people that I want to model and I surround myself with them. And then as far as, I think your question was, what were the things that gave me the confidence?
Yeah, personal development. You say that you invested a lot in personal development. What are some of the things that you've learned that gave you the confidence to grow your business to like $1.2 million or something like that? So what are some of the personal development that you've done to be able to achieve that level?
I would say the thing that the simplest distinction that we'll talk about today around energy is something that I started to realize. So I would go to one personal development event per quarter. And I would do one thing spiritually per quarter for myself while I was on my biggest run. Those were the two things that I poured back into me. And whether it was a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat or it was a seminar of some kind or landmark education, or I mean, like I've done pretty much anything and everything I could find and get my hands on, I've done it. The thing that I realized, everybody was saying a lot of the same things, just in their own different language. And whether that was something that was more neuro, or if it was something that was more human psychology, or if it was something that was more like spiritual and energy based, everybody was really saying a very similar message, which was, we have a return to center on our energy, and we can walk through life in a very present, in our body way, and we can clearly attract and create from intention and from a deliberate energy, or we can be in a very chaotic energy and we can be forcing instead of flowing, and we can be making it happen and moving matter and doing all these things and burning ourselves out. Or we don't have to, and we can go back to this space of kind of what God intended, which was like, let's come back into our bodies and be present. and let's move from there. And I realized, like Tony Robbins, he called it a beautiful state. Like, you know, and then you have Abraham Hicks that kind of talks about it in being in alignment. And then you have all the Bible's talking about it in all of the different ways of being almost just like how Jesus walked the earth. There's so many different examples of how we're meant to live our lives on a regular basis. And I think that intentionality, it took a lot of the masks off of just all the little silly things we pick up along the way that make us be able to like walk through the world as we are. Like I started questioning a lot of those. I was like, why do I think this way? Why do I have this belief system? Is that belief system even real? Did I make that consciously, or is that something I just was modeled when I was younger, or what? So I started questioning everything. And then I was like, oh, I'm just a, silly little human out here trying to figure it out like everybody is. And the thing that built the most confidence was to just coming back home to myself and moving from a present, deliberate energy on a day-to-day basis and realizing that I am in control of a lot of the feedback and the perception that I have of my world. And that's not something that I have to be a victim of or live in a scarcity, fear-based place. That's a choice that I can make and a practice that I can build.
Absolutely. While you were talking about that, my mind goes back to something that Myron Golden says all the time. Like for anybody that wants to be successful, they need to focus on high energy and deliberate intention, which like this is what you basically just described over here, which I feel like a lot of people need to learn. Have really clear and deliberate intention and making sure that you are high energy, because high energy doesn't attract low energy.
It doesn't.
High energy attracts high energy. Low energy attracts low energy. So you need to focus on those two things, which you just so beautifully put, for us on the show.
Well, the chart was created because I was like seeing this in real time with so many people. And it was like, oh, if I just highlight this in a green, like if you take all the emotions, the human emotions, and you put it from high vibe all the way to low vibe, and you just picture it green, yellow, and red.
Yeah.
And it's very, very easy to be like, hey, where am I at? Okay, I'm in the green. Epic. I'm probably going to attract people, situations, and circumstances that are in that same wavelength.
Yeah.
If I'm in the red, I'm probably going to attract people, situations, circumstances that are also in that wavelength. And just what Myron Golden said, like attracts like. And so, you could also go like this all day long too, by living in a place of whatever happens to me. If it makes me happy, then I'm here. Or if it makes me sad, I'm here. And then you're kind of reactionary in your life versus proactively looking at something like, I wonder what this is. I wonder what this could mean. Oh, my bag didn't come in at the airport. Maybe I'm supposed to go meet somebody in the Starbucks line. Instead of this whole, immediately assuming the worst and then going into the red and then being stuck there for the next couple hours. Like, that's not a fun place to be.
Yeah. I would love to expand on that. And I know you created a framework around that. Can we talk about the green zone framework? What that entails, what it is, and we'll dive into the conversation today.
Definitely.
About that.
So it's just a tool. Like, it's really nothing, it's not this huge, big thing that you have to like learn or understand. It's like the most basic tool. Like if you can kind of picture in your mind, like I said, that chart, you've got all the high vibe emotions, the middle vibe emotions, the low vibe emotions. The top's green, the middle's yellow, the bottom's red. Our subconscious kind of, we've seen a stoplight our whole life. We know stop at red, right? And we also know maybe you should chill out and slow down a little bit at yellow. And then we know green means go. So if you just think about it in that way, you ask yourself, just vibe check yourself throughout the day. Where am I at? Am I in the green? Am I in the yellow? Am I in the red? And then you'll know at that moment, what am I typically return to centering? The other piece to this is if you know that when you're in the red, you're in survival and your body is kicked into fight or flight and you basically have no access to logic because you're swimming in emotion, that's probably not the place to go enter or exit a trade or talk to your spouse or your kids or have important business discussions with your business partner. You have no access to logic. So why would we have those conversations there? So if we're aware of that, and I think that that's the thing that we were never taught, it was like, One, how do you regulate your nervous system? And we never got taught that in school.
Yeah.
Well, that was like, I was an adult when I learned like, even what a nervous system was to regulate. Like I didn't know what any of that was. And so we have these behaviors of, how we regulate or cope with a scenario, and we're not really taught anything about our emotions. So if we know that if you just go outside for a walk for 5 minutes and get some fresh air and just time out, like I'm in the red. Red is not a bad place to be. I need to make sure that's clear. It's not a bad place to be. How do you know light without dark?
Yeah.
How do you know happiness without sadness? Like, how do you know what you want unless you know what you don't want? Like, you got to have the contrast. That's going to give you clarity in life. But you don't want to hang out there because your return to cinder is not the best. And you have no access to logic. You're not going to get to the outcome you want from a place where you have no understand. You're in an emotional swimming pool at that point. So that's when you take a time out, you go outside, you go for a quick walk, you get some fresh air, you listen to your favorite song, you sit and breathe. You name the things around you that you see or that you hear, that you feel. You can't be anxious when you're back to present. When you're back in your body and you're out of your head, you can really tap into a new space. And 90 seconds of breathing can get you there. So once we get back to there, then we move from there. Like that's the best place. And so the goal is to get into the green and stick in the green as much as humanly possible. And don't beat yourself up you're in the red, but be aware of your internal resources and what you have access to in those moments.
Yeah. What are some practical ways to reset your nervous system? What are some exercises that you can share for someone to reset their nervous system?
Definitely. So I just did it this morning. I'm not even joking. Like I put in my headphones. I went outside for a 5-minute walk. I had some news that came in that I wasn't that excited about. It immediately dropped my energy and I was like, oh man, I'm feeling it. And I'm not telling you to not feel your emotions in any way, shape, or form. The fastest way to move through something is to feel it. I'm just saying if you find yourself stuck in that moment, you can shake it out by actually moving your body. If you move your physiology, and Tony Robbins talks a lot about changing your state, and you can just break that pattern in that moment. I think getting outside is like life's biggest hack, and we just don't do it enough. Getting off your phone, getting outside, go for a quick jog, quick walk for 5 minutes with a good song and a good podcast, and I swear you will be regulated so quickly. But the place that you can go to at any moment in time is your breath. And if you breathe in 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out for 90 seconds, you will already see your body coming back to a safe space.
This is fantastic. And I love that you have an exercise for that. Another one that was recommended to me when I was doing a project for BayCare, which is the biggest hospital here in Tampa Bay, was the 4-7-8 breathing exercise.
Okay.
Which is basically you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7 and release for 8. So while you're doing that, you kind of counting in your mind and doing that, and then that basically help you reset your nervous system too. So breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 7, and then release for 8. Whenever I feel anxious or feel like, everything is going crazy, I do that exercise and makes me feel so much better.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love. Thank you for sharing that exercise as well. You've mentioned Tony Robbins multiple times so far. Have you been to one of his events? And
I have. That was a very early on influence for me. He was very helpful. I went through the whole NLP program, and understanding just how we operate as humans is it's a superpower when you realize that a lot of the stuff that kind of just kicks in naturally is not something that you have to fight against. And so his work was a very big influence on me, and probably my early 20s. And that was a very foundational for a lot of the things that I did.
Yeah. What would you say is your biggest lesson that you've learned from Tony Robbins?
Probably change your state, and focus plus meaning equals emotion. So whatever you're focused on, plus whatever you're making it mean, whatever that story is. Oh, my bag didn't come in the airport. Oh, I'm making it mean that American Airlines is the worst. I gotta stop saying American Airlines. They're gonna kill me. I could point blame, focus plus meaning, whatever that meaning is, or I could say, I wonder what's happening here. Maybe there's something positive that's happening. That meaning then is going to give me the emotion. So if I know that, than if I'm staring at something and I'm giving it a really horrible meaning and then I have a really bad feeling associated with it. I have so much more control over that than I actually give myself credit, but we're just used to like assigning meaning quickly. So I've started to really pay attention to that over the years.
Yeah, awesome. Something that you talk about is like solving problem in the same energy that created them. So can we talk a little bit about that? Why can't you solve problem in the same energy that created them?
Because most likely it was created in the red. We typically have the most resistance when we're there. And then we also have no logic when we're there. So it's just a bunch of emotions, kind of like, it's so reactive. It's not necessarily the place where you're going to see all the options and solutions and outcomes. It's the place that you're going to swim in the feeling of something. So you're not probably going to, in an argument with a spouse, let's use that as an example. It's a lot more strategic if you were to both say, hey, we're both in the red. We're probably not going to get there from here. Why don't we take a 10-minute timeout? Both of us go for a walk on our own, and then come back and reconvene when we're back in the green. And you're going to have so much more logic. You're going to have so much more peace. You're going to have so much more grace. You're going to have so much more compassion. Like all these things are going to come back because you're back in the green. And how many times have you said something in the red and you're like, "Ooh, that's a bad movie. I never want to play again. Oh, I regret that." Yeah. So it's just better to just if you're aware of what you have access to in that state, then you just choose to get into another state before moving too far, because you're not really going to get there in the same way.
Absolutely. That was very well put. By the way, I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that or not, but congratulations on your recent engagement.
Thank you so much.
You want to show everybody your big bling? There you go.
I'm so happy and so grateful. Thank you. The wildest thing though, and this is something that I think is really worth mentioning, is because you asked me earlier, what are some of the failures or the downfalls or the things that I've struggled with in my life? And I was 36 years old. I am 36 years old. I was, on my 35th birthday, I was in tears. I woke up and, it doesn't matter what success you go have in your life. The things that were most important to me, I didn't have at that moment. And the thing that was most important was a really awesome partner and somebody, co-pilot to do life with, and kids. I really wanted kids. And so I was in this space where, I'm not joking, it was 6 months of, I'm telling you, my chart was so volatile for 6 months. This past year has been such a beautiful year, but the 6 months prior to that, it was, my dad was in the hospital for a month. Right after that, I ended up having, both hurricanes hit after that. I lost everything in the second one. My 14-year-old dog was put down right after that. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, whew, man, can we talk about red zone? Like I was not in the green. And I was just like, it was painful. It was like, I'm coming to acceptance. Am I ever going to have kids? Am I going to meet somebody in time to do that? And then I was also like, just kind of not having the best dating situations. And so I was like, should I move? Like, what should I do? And so I'm not joking. There was like a lot of contrast that led to me meeting him and him having 3 beautiful girls that are like, I don't know how I have so much in common with these 3 little girls in such different ways, but there's like little parts of me that comes out to play with them in this way that it feels like I've been connected to them like they are mine forever. And it's just the wildest, coolest, most beautiful thing that only God could have ever orchestrated. But in that time, I remember still doing visualizations. And I had this one video that I had created for myself, and I would watch the video and I'd close my eyes and I'd feel the feelings and the emotions of what it feel like to wake up every single day and have these kids running around and having this amazing man in my life and all of these things. And I then woke up last year after meeting him, which I met him 3 days after I put my 14-year-old dog down. And I was like, Nala, you better send me my human if you're about to leave me. and sure enough, 3 days later we met, and it was this past year has just been 0 to 100. I couldn't unsee it if I tried. I can't imagine in my life not spending my forever with him and the girls. And I went from single, no idea if I was going to have children, probably in the worst place that I've been in a long, long time, to like literally God was like, hey, here, And then not just here, but here. And also he got a 15-year head start. And so you have 3 beautiful little ones that you also get to be a huge influence in their world. And then also he's open to having kids too. So I'm like, this, and then it's happening so fast in a way that I don't have to stress as much about, my age. And these are all little things that I can't even tell you. When you just trust in the timing and you start preparing for what you're praying for, because it's going to show up better than you even imagine, but you just need to be prepared for that. Just start preparing now, because it will show up. It truly will.
Yeah, that took me back to something that I've learned from a book like a long, long time ago. A lot of people, they want to date and want to do all of that. But before you do that, you need to prepare yourself to become the person that who you're looking for is looking for.
I can't wait to tell you this. Oh, I can't wait to tell you this. Okay, so I had a list, and I'm not joking. This list has been going for 10 years. Ever since I first got into quantum physics and understanding energy, and I was like such a nerd about it. And so I wrote a list. Every single date I went on, I would write down all my favorite attributes about that person. And then if it was things that I was like, oh, I'm not a huge fan of that, maybe this instead. And I really did get very, very clear on what are the things that I really see as the things that I value at a high, high level. And then I had ChatGPT basically take that list of all the attributes that I was really excited about having in a partner, how I felt every single day with him in that relationship, in that dynamic. I was very clear with I want to feel loved, adored, respected, all these things. And then I ran it through and I said, who do I need to be? And it spit out game. Jet, this was the coolest thing that I had seen. And I just started locking into, okay, if I want to attract this, then I need to show up as that. And it gave me a clear guideline on that. And it was so fun because when we started dating, I showed him and he's like, Jess, this is the coolest thing ever. I know. It's ChatGPT hooked it up on that one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, Jeff, we have a guest coming here. Can you open the door for them? They're over there. That was incredible. Thank you for sharing that. It kind of reminded me, I think it was maybe 2010 or 2011 when I read that book from a pastor, and complete game changer. And that you did that and asking ChatGPT, because that is probably one of the biggest thing that people mistake that they make to try to date and doing all of that without becoming the person that they need to be so they can attract the person that would kind of really work well for them. So,
and I recently threw that thing through I said, can you please put this through a biblical lens? And that was even cooler because then it really talked about all of those values. Because I'm very new in the Bible, and so I'm learning all these things. And there's so much. It's the best book. It's the best personal development book that I never picked up. I picked up all the other ones, but it's funny because the more I read of that one, I'm like, oh, all these other ones also everybody's saying a lot of the same things, just different language. And the biblical lens of relationship is also such a beautiful guideline and standard and way of being.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Kind of follow-up question to this. How important is visualization for success?
I think it's everything. It's something that I've used my whole entire career. It's something that I genuinely believe you can almost remember it like this, keep your AI in check, your attention and intention. So your attention, whatever you're focusing on, it's going to grow. It's going to expand. You're going to see more of it. The second, we have this really cool brain that it's called the reticular activating system, but it's a part of our brain where if you go car shopping and then you see those cars everywhere, it's not that the cars weren't always there. You just didn't see them because your brain didn't have that as an aim. So you want to almost think about it in that frame with whatever you're focusing on, it's going to open up more and see more. But then what you're intending to see in that aim, it's going to show you more of that. And so when I create a visual of the picture I'm moving towards in my life, it always becomes this almost guiding light GPS. It's the address that I put in, and then I get in my car, and then I know that if I'm going off track because it's not in alignment with that, and it's this guiding light this whole time. But if I close my eyes and I actually feel the feelings and emotions of already being there, I promise you, it's the craziest, wildest thing. All the who, what, when, where, why, how is not your job. The only job that you have is every single day, wake up, get in the green zone, and walk out with positive expectancy, with complete detachment, because you don't need to know the details. You just need to walk out with expectancy that it's all unfolding in the most beautiful way and beautiful time. And I promise you, if you live like that, don't take my word, just try it for like 30 days, a week. You'll start seeing the synchronicities unfold. You'll start seeing the things show up because your brain is showing you more of what you wanted to see, but you didn't give it an aim before, so it didn't know what to show you. So it's really, really, really cool. Like, you can call it manifestation, but you can also just call it, that's how your brain works. Like, you just aren't using it to your advantage to be able to see the things more that you want to see, just like if you were to go car shopping.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, we're definitely going to schedule another part 2 for this show because, like,
We're having fun.
Spitting fire over here, guys. It's incredible. So we have about 10 to 12 minutes left in the podcast, and I have 5 more questions, more than 5, but 5 questions that we will move for the last stage. But there is a few more that I would like to ask you before. So, what is the invisible reason why people experience burnout?
I would say energy leaks. For me, if you think about it, like we're this might be a really bad analogy, but it's the first thing that popped in my head. It is like if you have 20 people on your Wi-Fi network, how slow does your Wi-Fi network go?
Definitely so.
Right? Versus just you on your Wi-Fi network. So if you look at like all the little tabs of our lives and all the little things that could be draining the energy out, if you start going in and closing those tabs, and that could be, and honestly, if you just prioritize taking care of your physical body, your mental, emotional, and physical health are very important. And most of us aren't even getting the basic fundamentals of taking care of ourselves physically. So the proper nutrition, the adequate sleep. I can't tell you, sleep has become, if I look at my Oura ring and it says I have sleep debt, I'm not as much in the green. If I look at my Oura ring, I have no sleep debt, I'm like this giddy little human. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So sleep is such a big lever that we don't really realize. It's very tied to our emotional well-being and how we feel or regulate. So sleep is important. Then getting outside and getting some sunshine. We're not meant to be behind screens all day. Like, God intended us to be outside and to experience the sunlight. So these are all basic fundamentals that will really help support you on a day-to-day basis with like leaking energy in unnecessary places. But then do a life audit. Do an audit where you actually look and see, what are the things that are draining me? What are the things that are not giving me life, that are taking away from my life in some way? And start really getting clear on those things. And then see if you can close those tabs out some. See if you can get some things off your Wi-Fi network so it goes a little bit faster. So I think that would be my quick tip. I know I have to go fast.
Yeah, no, take your time too. By the way, I don't think I can picture you being in the red. Like, from what you're saying, like, you always, like, every single time I've seen you, like at events or like, around town, you always that ball of energy. Like, I feel like you are in the green all the time, which is awesome.
I wish that I could say yes to that, but we're women out here with 1 week out of a month. I got this, I swear to you, it's like a dark cloud that just follows me around, and I'm just like running away from it the whole time. And I'm like, duh, but it just sits on top. So I can't say that I am at all hormonally. It messes with me bad. And then also, if I don't get up and do the things that I know how to do, I just like skip it and jump right into the mix of life, I can get super reactive, super quick.
Yeah, for sure. What is your best advice for somebody to move from the red zone to the yellow zone and then to the green zone?
I'm really happy that you made the distinction that they don't just go from red to green, because that's a very important distinction. You're going to start, I call it the hope road. So on the chart, when you get to hope, you can start, you're like, oh, I'm on the hope road. That's like the road up to the green. Because when you get to this place of hope, then you're finally like, oh, like you can feel the exhale of like, because red is dense, it's heavy, it's not fun. It's like, and it's this thing that you want to push away because it's pain. You just want to push it away versus like, feeling it like we probably should be doing. And when you can actually identify what you're experiencing, say, I'm in the red right now. I'm in the red. If you know you're in the red, then you're not going to continue to perpetuate more red. So if you say I'm in the red, and that awareness in general is going to give you more ability to move through it. But if you have the tools, walk outside, change your physiology, do 10 jumping jacks wherever you're at. If it's 5 degrees outside, don't go outside. Do 10 jumping jacks standing where you're at. Breathe. Do the things that you know how to do to calm your body down and get out of your head and back in here. And if you can hold your heart and you can breathe, or you can do some jumping jacks and shake it out, you have to make the choice, though, to not want to stay there. But you can all, like, I also want to make sure that I'm not telling people to not feel what they're experiencing, because we need to work through the things that we're experiencing as well. So like, this doesn't blanket all things. I think when I can't blanket all things, because you could be going through loss or grief, or, these are denser energies. You can't just go on a walk outside. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to feel those things. Those things are very real to the body. But understanding how to calm our nervous system down is the fastest way to get out of that and into a more present place.
I love that. Why does alignment beat hustle? Let me ask that question again. Why alignment? I cannot pronounce the word alignment, people. Why alignment beat hustle?
I personally believe that if I walk out into the world and I am available for all of the beautiful things that are coming into my world and into my life and into my orbit, if I'm available for them, I'm not closed, but I'm available for them, then I'm walking through the world as a magnet. And those things show up in my experience in the craziest, coolest ways. When Jess tries to make it happen and I put my nose down and I force it and I'm trying to move matter and I'm doing all these things, I have just experienced in my life that I end up getting burnt out. I'm not happy. The outcome is not really what I want. It's like a version of what I want, but it's never what I actually want. When I stop and I release it and I surrender, there's a really good book called The Surrender Experiment. If I stop and I surrender and I get curious of this highlighted path of, I know where I'm going. I just don't know exactly how I'm going to get there every single time. And if I know the next 3 steps, then the next 3 steps will become more apparent. But I don't need to know all the steps in between, but I do need to take action on those next 3 steps, because guess what? Then the next 3 steps will become more apparent. But the more you're in the green, the more the highlighted path is there. I've noticed that my whole entire life. People are highlighted. It's this, like, you just show up. I went to an event and I ended up talking to you for how long? We were standing up on that rooftop for how
Probably
long?
the whole 45 minutes.
Yes. And
it was a long time.
I walked in. I wasn't thinking to myself, like, who do I have to meet? Who do I have to have conversations with? Who do I have to network with? I was trusting that my intention I was supposed to talk to whoever I was supposed to talk to that night. And I know that God was going to put those right people in my path. And guess what? He did. And it was awesome. And I met the most amazing people. And I didn't have to go introduce myself to every single person there asking if that was the person I was supposed to meet. I just trusted and knew that it was all unfolding.
Yeah. It was an incredible conversation.
It was.
And I had the opportunity to meet James that night too. I mean, it was a really good time. Yeah, that was incredible. So now we are going to move into your rapid fire section of the show. Give me as much as you need. You don't need to give me like 1 or 2 or 3 words. Okay. Give me as much as you want, but will be our rapid fire section. So the very first question that I have for you is, if you had to give out $1 million advice to somebody, what would that be? Like the most impactful advice that you could give to somebody that could change their life. It doesn't have to, help them make $1 million, but that big advice that you would give them.
Live your life more in the green zone. Like, just make it a goal. It's not a bad place when you're in the red, but if you can just make it a goal, like, it's my number one guiding light intention. Like, if I can genuinely ask myself, I have to be accountable to the energy that I'm putting out into the world. That's a part of my legacy that I'm leaving on this earth, is how I make someone feel when I leave a room or I leave a space. I want everybody to be left better than I found them. And I think if we walk through the world accountable to the energy that we're putting out consistently, knowing that it's also going to be beneficial because we have a return to sender on that energy. We're going to only rendezvous with really cool people, situations, and circumstances when we're there. But also we're going to constantly live a life of more deliberate intention versus just kind of allowing societal things. We just fall into the mix of the matrix is what they call it.
Yep. If you had to go back to whenever you started your professional career, your entrepreneurial journey, what is one advice that you would give to your younger self?
Surround yourself with really good people that already are where you want to go.
Yeah. And why is that so important?
It's everything. It is sped up my learning curve in a million different scenarios by just immersing myself and surrounding myself. And if I didn't have access in that moment, I became relentless. Like nobody, I took my cable boxes back when I was on my biggest business run, and I've never really turned on a TV since, because if I'm listening to something or I'm watching something, it's always something that's going to help me advance in some way. And I just became obsessed with understanding so many different things. I personally think if you're surrounding yourself with those mentors, whether you have access to them or not, get in the rooms if you can. But if you can't, then go find the top 5 people in your industry and study every single thing that they put out. It changed my game. Totally.
I love that. That's great advice. If you had to share one resource or one person or one book that has made the biggest impact on your life, what would that be and why?
It's called, the book is called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. And it's just been my favorite. I've given it out to everybody. It's actually, if you go to my bio and my Instagram, there's a free copy in the bio that you can listen to. You can actually, somebody told me you can listen to it on Spotify now too. So it's free on Spotify as well. And it is just, it just frames me in the most amazing way to live the most abundant life in every single aspect of life, not just money, but in every aspect of life, just looking at life through an abundant lens.
Yeah. I'm going to ask a very similar question from that last one. What is one person, dead or alive, that has made the biggest impact on your life and why?
My dad. Hands down, my dad. He's been a rock in my life for my whole entire life. The man could just sit there and listen to me for 3 hours straight and just still look at me with these kind eyes. And it really set the bar. And he's been married to my mom for 50 years. And I wanted the dynamic where a man would still have those same googly eyes 50 years later and have the same kind, patience and love and care for his family. And so I think he also, The 4 Agreements was one of the first books that he also gave me too and had out in the living room. And that was also a big game changer book for me. So and he just believed in me. Like he always believed in me even if I came to him, I was the kid that was like idea of the week. So I saw a movie and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a dolphin trainer. And then I saw this and I'm going to be a firewoman. And I saw this. And I was like the kid that always had a new idea. And he never told me that none of them were going to be something I should go after. He just said, okay, so what's the plan? And he would get my brain to go and create a plan. And whether I executed on the plan or not, it didn't matter. But there was a plan. And so I constantly thought about life through that frame because of that. And he never told me no. And I really, not no in the sense of he told me no, but like he never told me that something was out of reach. Mm-hmm. He just always made me figure out if it was something I wanted to go for. And so my brain never thought, oh, I can't go be this or do this. My whole life, nothing was ever unrealistic. If somebody else had accomplished it, I could too, because he didn't put those caps on me. And I look back on that now and I just really appreciate that.
I love that. Mm-hmm. So the last question that I have for you, what is the mission behind the jewelry line that you just started?
Thank you for asking this, truly. Honestly, this was not something that I really thought this was something that it was just a hobby. I loved seeing my friends so happy in the same jewelry that I was wearing. And it started with just like doing some designs and then selling a little bit on Instagram. And it never was a thriving business until Ryan came along and really took a part of the I'm not an operations person. I'm a people person. And so she really came in and really helped operationally in a really cool way. And I got to stay on the design side. And so we have had such a cool experience of the women that we've been attracting, that this wasn't just like, it was almost like they were like, no, you got to go make more because we need more. And then all the people that we were collecting in this, they were the coolest women. Like if you go and circle the room of who goes to our pop-up events, these are like women that are changing the world in like the craziest, coolest ways. And all of them are at the most beautiful inside and out. The through line for the community that we have watched be created is every single woman will come up and compliment the other woman at any moment in time. They're just those types of women. They're just like, girl, where'd you get that? Oh my God, I love that. And so being in a room full of really powerful individuals we can go change the world together. It's just made us like, yes, the jewelry is awesome. Yes, is it like the most stunning? And it's a conversation starter for anybody that's in entrepreneurship that wants to walk into a room and have people flock to them. It's the best conversation starter in that sense.
Absolutely.
But the women we're attracting are just what is keeping us going.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, guys, we going to have another episode with Ryan soon.
Yes. Shout
And
out.
we are going to have them both back together. There are two powerhouses here in Tampa. So they will be here and they will be crushing it. So stay tuned for that episode that's going to be coming soon. So last question for anybody that is watching this episode, how can they get a hold of you to learn more about all the beautiful things that, we shared today, and also to learn more about your business?
Absolutely. So on Instagram, you can follow at the Jessica Haley. So THE Jessica, JESSICA HALEY. And then from there, you can also go to shop in my bio. It's shop Ava Crystal. That's the Instagram for Ava. If you would like to go to a showroom, the showroom is actually at the Adair Health and Longevity Center in South Tampa, as well as one that's opening St. Pete February 5th. So if you want to come to that awesome launch, that's going to be amazing. And so if you want to actually try on any of our jewelry or come to our events or anything, you can reach out to that Instagram page or stop in and see us. And then what else did I forget?
Yeah, follow her on social media.
Social media is probably the fastest way to
on
get a hold.
Instagram and Facebook. I
Instagram
know you use Instagram mostly, but yeah.
Yeah, Instagram's where I play the most, but it all auto-populates everywhere else.
Yeah. If you want to have another hour with Jess, comment below, and any of wherever we post that, comment below and say, hey, come back. Because we have another 2 hours that we could chat for, but obviously today we're very time limited. So thank you guys for tuning in. It was such a pleasure having you, Jess.
Thank you.
There you have it. Let's go, baby.
Appreciate
That's
you.
so fire.